Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and finally, after almost 7 years, Code Vein 2. Now, we've been lucky enough to play it a little bit early, so I wanted to put together a useful starter guide, since you're going to find in your first hours of play, they dump text tutorials on you. There's a lot of systems at play, but, you know, if you played Code Vein 1, a lot of it is returning, just with maybe new additions, so it's not so bad there. But if you're new, it's definitely overwhelming with how you open any menu and this wall of text follows like every time. So, a lot of it's going to be useful to know, and hopefully this video can help you understand so you can dive in and just get started. Let's get into it. Let's start with builds. What actually makes a build in Code Vein? When you open up your menu here, you can see kind of everything. We have our weapon, our offensive slot, our defensive slot, the blood code, the jail, your boosters, and a few other things to consider. Let's start with the weapon. This is your primary weapon at a minimum. There is a second slot which becomes available after you upgrade your jail far enough. Then obviously you use the weapon to directly fight, and there's a few different tools and options you have in terms of combos we'll mention. Next you have your Formae. These are kind of like tools you'll pull out briefly. Offensive Formae can be found on your weapon. We have these slots here, up to 4 you can have, and you can change this by putting new ones on or like duplicating them. They're like Ashes of War from Elden Ring and so on if you played that. You exchange iCore to do these, so you can see my iCore count there is now down to 11 as I've just spent 5. Let's do it again, now it's down to 6. That's your resource for that, and you recover that by draining, which is using your jail. So we equip these to our weapon of choice. You can do this a Mistle. You can have up to 4 equipped, and there's 3 main sort of types. You have combat Formae, so these are the ones that you have on your weapon, more physical. You have magical, which are more ranged potential. And we have supporting Formae, which is like your self buffs, such as taking damage but getting a big attack power boost while that's happening. Next, let's mention the defensive Formae. This is a shield that can basically be pulled out to guard and reduce the damage you're taken, but depending on the one, as you can see, this one nullifies physical damage completely, so rather than reducing it, it stops it. Interesting effects can come from this, like the shielded stupor. Perfectly blocking an enemy attack will also produce a field that applies a stone status, as well as other options like the category of a parry tool, which obviously is going to nullify an attack, leave them vulnerable after I do it. And there's a perfect evade one that I'm about to unlock on this save. Another slot is your offensive or bequeathed slot. This is like a special weapon summon that briefly becomes available. So the first one you get will be this bow, giving us a nice ranged tool and a way to deal damage at range. Finish a low health enemy off, that kind of thing. The next one you get is the battle axe, which is like a wide AoE. So you slam this down, there's this area that's applying the status or ailment. That's the slow status element, and as you can see, it kind of freezes targets for a while, leaving them vulnerable. Other bequeathed options are going to follow on from this, like a massive sword for a single big hit, or pulling out like a duo machine gun for medium range burst. They're temporary weapons for different purposes. Next, you have your jail slot, which is the really cool drain effect like classic Code Vein. So the very first one you get will be the ogre, which is this big hand that grabs. Different jails have different uses though. For example, the bat jail, which you get not long after that, is a totally different one. This one also new, when charged up, you get like a ranged bat throw. It also forces you backwards. So if you're playing a medium to longer range setup, like a bayonet or something, having a jail that pushes you back and gives you a ranged way to actually drain is very clever. To the right of that, you have your 4 booster slots. Very simply, these are just 4 passives that you equip. So the 4 that I've got on right now, I've got Dexterity, there's Mind, Vitality, Fortitude as basic ones, and then more interesting ones. So if I land a drain attack, I get an attack power buff for a little bit. That's obviously really good. And that's all centered around your current code. Codes decide the scaling of everything. So a code like this one has 13 strength, 10 dex, 12 mind, 8 willpower, 10 vitality, 12 fortitude. Whereas say this next one, the iris code, this is more focused on strength and vitality at the sacrifice of other things. Why would I run this code? Well, maybe it's because I'm using big strength weapons. And so I'll swap to that strength weapon focus. So here's a big greatsword, and I want that to scale and do as much damage as possible. So I'll use a strength focus code. There's a lot of information on screen here that can be overwhelming, and I'll get into the code section in a moment. But as you can see, very quickly you unlock codes, you use them and level the proficiency, which then unlocks the higher level one, and so on, giving you a stronger base to work with. And they can come with really unique effects, like Jose's one here, iCore gain from weapon attacks, but any iCore overflow has recall damage to myself. So I get to attack and get iCore, not having to use my jail to drain, but I've got to make sure that I'm regularly spending iCore so I don't hurt myself with it. And finally, we also have our partner, who fights alongside us, giving us different sort of like link benefits based on them and their playstyle, their benefits. But you can also swap them and change them into something that's buffing you, so they're not directly fighting alongside you, but now we're being enhanced with buffs from them. And again, the buffs you get depend on the partner. So based on the partners you've currently unlocked, you can go to a Mistle and change partners, and then get some information about them. So if I was running Noah, I'd be getting action stamina cost down, or when I'm taking his buffs, I'd have dexterity, speed up charge drain attacks, and more as I progress the relationship with him, where Josie starts with +2 strength by comparison. And if I want to do a heavy charge attack, I get defense and balance up during it. Pretty cool. So that's everything that forms a build you'll need to know about. Hopefully just being aware of that helps you pick up the systems and engage with it. My advice is to experiment. Since you can easily change weapons, codes, and playstyles, it's fun to try something new. In some areas, enemies, bosses, they'll work with different approaches. The first main boss that I approached with a big slow weapon, his combos felt too quick and I was having a hard time as I was learning the game initially. So I opted for the simple, guarding defensive Formae, swapped my code to make guarding cost less stamina passively, and then I just blocked his crazy fast combos instead of trying to perfect evade them. Any slow attack I would then roll, and now I could actually punish him, and that's how I beat him. If you're having a hard time, don't get stuck doing one thing. The amazing part of Code Vein is the codes and your ability to drastically change things up. And in my experience, they're giving me more than enough materials to upgrade different jails and weapons, allowing me to swap playstyles when I want. Alright, let's now get into the weapons and the movesets. There are 7 weapon types, as you can see. We have the one-handed swords, the two-handed, the twin blades, the bayonets, the halberds, the hammers, and the rune blades. Let's simplify this and cut it up to 3 main categories. You have your big, slow, strength-style weapons. That's your great swords. The halberds, which are a bit more wider in their attacks by comparison. And of course, the big, bonking hammers for big charge attacks. Then you have other weapons that are a bit quicker, such as your one-handed swords. These combos are obviously a lot quicker and allows you to be a bit more free-flowing, a great starting weapon type. One of the new weapon types is Twin Blades though, which, engages fully with the attack and consecutive attack style. One of the first codes you unlock is all about that. And then you have your semi-ranged options. So you have your bayonets. So these come in different forms. You can use them in melee, which is an important part of it. And then heavy attacks is about using their shots. So this one's a shotgun. There's grenade launchers and rifles for longer range as well. And of course the new rune blades, which are really cool. These special blades you use to sort of attack and dance at the same time. Just be wary, some of them will leave you exposed, so while that's happening, I'm actually without a weapon as I'm using that skill. Initially then, you have 1 weapon equipped at a time. When you upgrade your jail, you can have 2 to swap between them for different purposes. And in regards to bayonets, be aware that the rifles, shotguns, and grenade launcher types all require different ammo, and the correct type at that. You'll be able to buy them, and they're not expensive. Of course, for combat, you also have your offensive slot, your bequeathed Formae, and you have your jails for their special attack types. So just to emphasize that again, we have the initial one, the Ogre, which is really short range, like slow heavy. And then you have something like the Stinger, which is obviously a lot longer range at its use. Keeping it simple though, each weapon has kind of the same options that work a bit different based on the weapon. So you've got light attack combos, you have your heavy attack, which you can charge up for a stronger version. You can do jump attack, which is jump light, or jump heavy, which are different. There's also running attacks. And of course, all of this can be comboed into each other, doing a light attack, then into a heavy attack. Maybe I do a light attack combo into a charge drain. Maybe I do a light attack combo and then use one of the weapon Formae. Whatever works, find a strong combo for your weapon and options that you have. And don't forget that when a target is stunned, it'll get a big red circle in the middle, and if you drain it, even a quick drain, you get a special animation and a lot more icon returns. There's also backstabs, by the way. You can sneak up behind enemies while crouching, so that's R1 plus down on a D-pad. Then you just press square as you get behind them. That'll stun them, leaving them easy for an instant drain. This often insta-kills them, and sneaking can be useful in different contexts. A quick word on Formae. As we know, we see the 4 slots on the weapon. If I press R2, I can get some more information about stuff, and this is a quick way to see what your weapon has and what it actually does. So, Phantom Assault. Turns out this is a 2-hit combo with a lunge, and it even nullifies enemies' attacks while lunging, to dodge their attacks. Here's a different example with Twin Blades you get very early on. Relentless Sword Dance. Repeat the input during the attack to continuously slash, then press R2 to finish with a powerful strike. So as I spam it, it continues, and if I press R2, I end it. I should be careful about my icon count because it spends it fast. Basically, there are weapon Formae skills that require multiple inputs and do different things. Now a more specific quick talk about blood codes. Again, this is the base of your build. Some codes are going to work better for X or Y weapons. Obvious example again will be the Iris code for its super strength focus for you big heavy weapons. Using that R2 lets look at the information and get more information context. You can look at the attributes and look at strength. This improves the power of weapon attacks, and obviously particularly good for heavy weapons. Dexterity also increases weapon attacks, but is more relevant for lightweight weapons. Mind will increase the damage and duration of magic Formae, so this is good for self-buffing, like damage buffs and so on. And willpower is more specific about just the damage of magic Formae. Then you got vitality for your health and LP, and lastly fortitude for your stamina. So that's what they do. But there's this cool thing called the burden system, and you can see it highlighted on the right. Here's the build that I've got right now. Everything's fine. You can see that under dexterity, I have a 10 requirement, and thankfully I have 12 dex, so I meet the requirement. But let's say if I was to swap to this code, well, I have 10 dex right now in terms of what I'm using, and that has 8 dex, so I no longer meet the requirement, and now I would be burdened. Now, based on the burden, different negatives happen. So if I'm burdened on dex, I'll get a different downside to if I was burdened on strength. If you look at the traits of a code, it also tells you about this. Dexterity or mind burden will give you a -10 strength. Or this one. Any overburdened effect, accumulation of status elements also affects enemies near the target. But then vice versa, if I don't have a burden, well then my status element buildup will be better. Basically, as I swap to this kind of strength focused build, I need to think about the fact that I now have too much dexterity. So let's look at my defensive slot. If I was to put this one on, I would actually get burdened on willpower. But if I was to put on the basic one, well then I'm no longer using 2 dexterity for the parry. That gets me within the burden of dexterity and I lose the burden. Small thing to manage basically. Couple quick details to do with your partner. Again, you can have them summoned so they're actively fighting alongside you, and then you get specific perks based on which partner you have, or you can pull them into yourself and get enhancements, and then not have their help in a fight. Based on the partner that you have and the relationship with them, you get different bonuses. This is very strong, obviously, but if you have a partner out, if you go down, they'll revive you, go on a short cooldown. If you go down again too quickly, you'll die, but that cooldown isn't that long. They can revive you multiple times a fight. So it's a really helpful crutch when learning a fight or doing something difficult. When you feel confident, you can pull them into yourself and just do it yourself while juiced up. There's also food items. As you can see, this one will slightly increase my max LP and mind, and that effect lasts until death or my next rest at a Mistle. This one by comparison just straight up gives me increased max stamina. So if you're exploring and you stop resting at every Mistle every time, you get this buff for a while. You could pop this on before a boss fight, and you'll lose it when you die, but it could be the difference between a win or a really effective kill. You just go to the item synthesis menu, and this is where you find cooking and crafting and that kind of thing, like crafting ammo as well. So picking up random like items as you're exploring can then be used to craft these food buffs, which can be useful for your exploration. It's not expensive to do, and if you're missing anything, you can often buy it from a merchant. Now looking at this saves map, you can see it's a pretty big world compared to original Code Vein. So do look around, do explore, you're going to find a lot of stuff. Useful items for upgrades, quests and progress with NPCs, hidden items. Remember that you can fast travel between Mistle from the very get-go, so don't walk around everywhere if you don't have to. Meanwhile, the mount, the motorcycle, that's unlocked after you finish the starter island. Magmel is the hub that you'll get very quickly on the starting island. Here you've got the NPC Jadwiga, which is a merchant that appears all around the place, offering different stuff. There's the training area to get comfortable with weapons and new options, great place to learn. There's the hot spring, when you take different partners there, you get new recipes unlocked. And NPCs at rest, which when you speak with, you can give them items, and they'll give you rewards too by speaking with them, like boosters after maxing out a code. You can give them items as a sort of gift, which then gets you points with them, which then you spend on their rewards, like different item buffs, cooking recipes, and other useful stuff. Around the world as well, you'll find the merchants, the minions of that character, and they'll do quite a lot for you. So they'll sell you stuff, and based on like how far in the game you are, they'll get like a bigger or different stock. But there'll also be a place like a blacksmith where you can upgrade any of your weapons on the spot, which is really cool. We can enhance our skills with rarer resources, and of course we can improve our jails as well. Other reasons to explore do exist. You can pick up stones to upgrade your weapons, platinum to upgrade your jails as we just looked at, and there's also healing upgrades. This can improve the healing amount per heal, or amount of heals you actually have. Initially, you get this from special plants known as Golden Nectar, and you can find at least 3 on the starting island. Remember, at each Mistle, you can rest, change the time, and use it as a checkpoint system, but be aware that when you do, it sort of revives all the basic enemies around. You can level up at these, instantly teleport to them, use your golden nectar and so on to improve your heals, visit Lou and have lore conversations, progress the story, even get rewards sometimes, and use the storage feature. When you're exploring, be aware that the area will be hidden from you initially. You want to go to these sort of pink circles and find the blocker, the jammer, and destroy it. That reveals the area. When you're in a dungeon, there's also jammers that hide the actual minimap from you. Once you do that, it's super easy to find the secret areas, of which there are a lot in these hidden dungeons. Valuable special items, loot, and special enemies will be in those areas, so look around. But yeah, for now, that will do it for my initial starter guide. I think I've covered quite a lot there. I hope that was understandable. Hopefully after watching it, you'll have an easier time learning all this stuff as they throw it all at you at once. If it helped, drop a like and look out for my next video on how to get OP super quick to have a strong opening in the game. Until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.